Here we are, 2025, the first WrestleChat podcast of the year. And what a way to start. Just on the heels less than 48 hours ago, WWE Raw moves to a brand new era. In fact, such the era that they have nicknamed it the Netflix era. How appropriate. Michael, welcome to the podcast. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you as well. It's great to be here. As you said, it was just an explosive start to wrestling for 2025. If you're a wrestling fan, it's hard not to just be completely stoked right now. But thanks for having me. Good to be here, and excited to see what the year has in store. I
took notes last night, and I just had to quit taking notes. I tried to take notes, and I tried to hang out on Twitter or X throughout the show, and I'm like, I'm missing half this show because I'm responding or tweeting about what I caught in between tweets and things like that. I was like, this is dumb. Shut Twitter off, get to it afterwards, just enjoy the show. And so I ended up doing that after about the first 15 minutes. And man, I'm glad I did. Yeah. I thought it was normally, if you told me that you didn't get the first match, or you got one match in 54 minutes, like, man, this is a weird show. There's got a lot of downtime. And it didn't feel like that at all to me, did it you?
No, not at all. And it was such an interesting ride. Probably, for all the episodes that you and I have done together, and for all the tangents that I've gone off, on or whatever, this episode is probably going to be the hardest for me to not just jump ahead or whatever. So I'm gonna try and stay as linear as humanly possible. No, match.
I'm glad I took notes then. So we'll just kind of hit some bullet points then. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
One match in an hour. Yeah. You would think that just if you would have told me that would have been on USA, I think I would have not liked that. But in the moment, it just felt very fluid, and I still think there was a commercial break in there or two, but it fit and it worked, and it was very, very. It was this mature, evolved version of itself, and it was very, very interesting to see.
Agreed. Let's just start at the beginning. I was thinking maybe this might kind of be boring if I just went bullet points, but it might be the best way to just kind of hit as much as that we can on this. Let's just start with the open, that cold open that they did just after Michael Cole said, "Welcome to Raw" on Netflix. And then it went to the pre-recorded package that ended up being the painting on the canvas of a wrestling ring. Who are they taking people from Hollywood and plugging them into wrestling, or are they just developing their own that are just really, really great at cinematography?
Honestly, I think it's probably both.
Yeah.
I mean, WWE up until the last 5-10 years was on the complete fringe of the sports industry, the entertainment industry. And I have to believe that you got fringe type people too. And I'm not saying that the people are bad or anything, but you don't have your ESPN camera guys, pyro guys, art directors, all this stuff. You don't have the guys that are, gunning to work at ESPN going, oh, you know what? I'm going to go to WWE because that's like the perfect thing. But now that it's becoming more mainstream, yes, you're getting more and more talent, but prior to 10 years ago, we still saw creative stuff, which means they're able to develop business people and artistic people just like they're able to develop superstars. But now you have the benefit of being able to make your talent and acquire your talent because WWE has become so incredibly mainstream. You stopped at the canvas part. And if that would have been all we got right there, it would have been
amazing, right?
I thought it was incredible.
Yeah.
I was moved. I can't say that I was like tearing up or anything, but that first up until the canvas reveal, like I was very, very moved. But we carry on.
Yeah, that and the curtain and that all shown. Although this arena, and here's what I think that maybe more important than episode 1 is going to be episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because there were a lot of production elements that were in just this building that you don't get in any other arena in the world. The giant jumbotron that encircles the arena floor, if you will, that you would see it on the outside, but if you're down on the floor or lower level, the first lower level, you're looking still at the image, but on the inside of the screen on the opposite side of you, if that makes sense at all. That you don't see those in any other arena. The puck lights that were on the armrests of every one of the seats. I heard somebody say, how are they going to take that with them? Well, they're not. That wasn't part of WWE's production. That's a part of the arena's production. So there's a couple of things right there that supplied some of the aesthetics that we saw on Raw that you're not going to have on episode 2, because that's in San Jose in a normal arena, I would call it, the ones that we're used to. This was a state-of-the-art arena where the Clippers play, and they just finished this arena less than 6 months ago, I believe. And so this is brand new, state-of-the-art. It's what you're going to see eventually, but it's not what you're going to see in the majority of shows in 2025. In fact, I live in Central Texas, and we have a show coming to Austin, a Raw coming to Austin. And I know what that arena is. It's a really nice arena. It doesn't look anything like the Intuit Dome. Intuit Dome, is that what it was? Mm-hmm. It doesn't look anything like that. It's very nice. It's very updated. It's about 2 years old or something like that. And it's going to look like more of what the rest of the year would look like in any other arena. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. One of the biggest things that I think that they are going to be taking with them that I loved was the entrance ramp. That we have we're not paying attention to the stage and the production on that. The fans are the production, and seeing that everybody, when they get that wide shot and you see that every seat is full in 360 degrees, except for maybe one or two right by the hard cameras, everything else is just packed to the gills, and it just really adds to the atmosphere there. So I love that, and that's what we'll get to see in other arenas as too. Having Triple H start with after the curtain fell, was having him stand there.
Well, hold on there, buddy.
What did I miss?
You skipped over the whole video that was on the sheet.
Yeah, that's what we were. The whole thing was on the sheet.
I thought there was like did it switch over to because it was full screen and then it switched over?
What people were watching in the arena was all on the screen, all on that sheet.
Okay. So let me backtrack then.
Okay.
So the back half, if you're watching the broadcast on Netflix, on the back half when it switched to, I work in the production field.
Yes.
That's called like a kabuki drop, I think, if I'm not mistaken, where you have the thing up and it falls. But having the video play on that and just artistically what it looked like, and then the drone, and then like all of that, I thought that was a separate video initially, but now that it's all one thing, I was bawling like a baby halfway through the curtain part of it. Yep. Because they're just going through, and just like everybody else, my childhood was in a chunk of that video. Not all of it.
Sure.
All of it is what I love, and I've learned about all of it. But there was the moment in there that took me back to being that kid and coming across that channel in real time with no way to pause and watching, for me at the time, the slimy heel Triple H, going against Scott Steiner and, month after month after month at pay-per-views, and that cool feeling that it had. I'm like, man, this is just so cool. Yeah. And being able to relive that just for those brief moments through that video was incredibly touching. And just a reminder of why we love wrestling so much, is because it transcends just being a sport. You can be so passionate, be vested in a sport, but there's something about wrestling that just penetrates like your life and your memories and everything. Yeah. It's just, I could go on and on and on, but I'll get off my soapbox. But
that bridges the gap there. Yeah, everything that was up on that sheet, and then it drops, and Triple H is standing there. I would like to see something, or at least hear him talk about what it was like standing in that ring with no one knowing that you're there, and watching that same video on the opposite side of the curtain.
How he was not a blubbering child when
and then he has to talk afterwards. Exactly.
He probably was like, what? They probably did rehearsal, and he's like, I'm going to stand here 10 times, and I'm going to get numb to this thing.
Right. Gotcha. I got to see it that many times. Yeah,
and then a few seconds later, he cut his promo, and then he died because everything exploded around him.
It was like, so we had Triple H
from that.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it was funny. My wife goes, "What is that that's sitting in the ring in front of him?" I go, "That's going to be pyro here in just a minute." And boy, was it. And for not having a stage, they had a lot of pyro everywhere, which they usually put in those places. So Triple H, the very first person other than the announcers to be in the ring and talk on Raw on Netflix. And then of course got the biggest man in entertainment. Now I have a debate here. Did we get The Rock or did we get Dwayne Johnson? I think we got Dwayne Johnson with everything that he said.
I think so too. Yeah. He was dressed the part, but he definitely was not acting the part. Yep. And I got to be careful again, not to jump ahead. I felt it, Ant. I was like, oh, I'm gonna, but I held back. But no, I think we got Dwayne, and I think it was just such a night of appreciation and looking ahead. One thing that I'm going to say, I'll go ahead and throw out this comment since we're kind of in the first segment. This show was like you opened like an educational wrestling booking textbook or something. Oh, I got a minion.
You're good.
Hi, baby. I'll be there in just a minute. Can you close the door?
Yeah.
But feel free to leave that in if you so choose.
Oh yeah. This is all live. Absolutely.
But what was I saying? I lost my train of thought.
Just like an education. Yeah.
The whole show is like if you opened a textbook of somebody trying to teach wrestling booking. Like everything was playfully predictable, but like in the best way.
Yeah.
Like they pulled out all of the classic wrestling things that happen in storylines. The way the announcers explained everything, a little bit.
Knowing that there were going to be a lot of people that didn't normally watch the show, watching the show.
Exactly.
What they did on Saturday night's main event too.
Yeah. And so connecting that with what we were talking about with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, I think that it was just a moment for him to just soak in the accomplishment of the moment. There was a little bit of story weaved in there somewhere, but I think overall everybody just wanted the night to almost stand alone by itself.
That's what it really felt like. Yeah, it didn't. I don't think that there wasn't much continuation or expounding on the stories nothing really progressed. Not much. I mean, Rhea Ripley winning the women's world title, obviously massive. We'll get to that here in just a minute, but that was really the only thing that kind of progressed in anything. In jumping way ahead to the main event, it didn't give us any finality with Punk and Seth. If anything, I can't wait to hear what Seth has to say next week and see where some of that feud goes between those two. But nothing. And I'll be honest, there's a part of me that felt very confused until I realized it's not The Rock talking.
Yeah,
I thought it was The Rock talking. I'm very I don't even know what to think at the moment because he's thanking Cody Rhodes for carrying the company over the last year. Yeah. You're the same guy that was whipping with your belt, bludgeoning him in the parking lot, gave him back the watch, we presume, the last time he was on. The last time we saw The Rock, he does the slashing symbol in his own throat and counts 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3 or whatever it was. It was just very confusing. On that part, and I didn't know what to think of it.
I think we all had that, like the diehard wrestling fans had that conversation with ourselves. But I think what they did was they did a quick pivot to position Rock as High Chief Seuli or however you say it, knowing that that's the next step. Because here's the thing. The rivalry, and we're still bouncing around a little bit, but the rivalry with Solo and Roman has been fantastic. Main event level stuff. But the reality is it's only a blip on the radar in the midst of the bigger story.
Yeah.
Solo was the placeholder. And I do not say that anything against Solo, because I've enjoyed it just as much as any other part of the Bloodline story.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the payoff, because initially I was like, this match is the first one out of the gate. I predicted it a mile away down to the number of finishers. I don't hate it, but I feel a little disappointed. And then I thought about it. I took a minute and I put myself back in the seat of being a fan and less like a wrestling critic or commentator.
Sure.
And I said, the story had to conclude, and why not tonight? And why not that way? And when I realized that, it didn't need some big twist or turn. It was what we all knew was going to happen, which was Roman Reigns was going to be the certified tribal chief, and that's going to go on to meet The Rock. And so then when I framed it up that way, these fans don't need to be the same. The new fans don't need to be bought in the same way to the story.
Sure.
They just get to see the epic conclusion. They get to walk in the door and be like, holy crap, they're fighting over being the king of a tribe. Like, this is awesome.
No. They weren't fighting over the king of a tribe. They were fighting over a chili pepper necklace. That's what the rest of the world. Yeah, it's what the rest of the world's going to think.
You were very patient with that long rant, but I think it was worth it. But I'm biased.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think so too, and I think it's left to be seen. We're so quick to, typically we're so quick to go, well, this should have happened, and that should have happened, and this should have happened. We have no idea what's being set up. And that goes for every single show. And every time The Rock is in the ring, and every time that, especially if he and Roman are in the ring, and even more if he, Roman, and the Wise Man are in the ring together. Yeah. There's both of those guys gave me the feeling that, oh crap, something's about to happen. Oh, he's about to do something. Oh, that one's about, oh, now that he's got it, something's about to happen. Okay, nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Well, that must be something. Well, now that's something.
I made myself look like an idiot too, because I was sitting with people and I'm like, you go watch this. Check this out. Check this out.
Oh, he put a necklace on him? That's great, Michael. That's cool.
and then it cuts and they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like,
you didn't see that?
It's coming. You'll just have to wait till later.
I got a couple of aesthetics thing. I want to get your thoughts on this. Black ring mat.
Like it.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I thought the sponsors on it and everything else that something else came in the field of view popped because of the black mat. Yeah.
And then simultaneously it was less obnoxious and intrusive than ads on the brighter mat.
Yeah.
Agreed. I was very much less overwhelmed with adverts on the black mat, and I was 100% cool with it.
Ref shirts.
2 thumbs way up.
Way up. It's the progression. Absolutely. I thought that was really cool. And there was something that Pat McAfee noticed too on one of the guys. He said his fade is always on point as well as his kicks or something like that. And the first time I looked at it, dude's wearing all black Jordans. That's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. I don't remember which ones they are.
Those really shirts are crafty as mac and cheese, my friend.
Love it. And what I love is there's now even more of a distinct difference between the look of Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
Brand new darker blue mat on SmackDown and a black mat on Raw. And it's not that you still have the traditional red and blue for each brand, but it's not everything red and everything blue like before,
Well, and the dark aesthetic.
Yeah.
Because there was a dark aesthetic to everything that made the limited color pop. It just felt good.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they psychologied all that, but man, I was bought into it hook, line, and sinker.
The starting with a tribal combat, I thought was also, I wondered what would start Raw. And I thought, well, you got to start with a main event. And so it's either going to be the tribal combat match or it's going to be Seth and Punk. It's going to be one of the two because those are the 2 biggest matches on this show. And I'd heard also that before that Raw, H got together with all of the talent and said, this is just one show. This is not like WrestleMania in the fact that we try to include everybody over 2 nights or what have you. This is just one show. You may be on show 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but there's only so much we can put on show number 1. And we got to put the best stories and the best matches on that show. And I think they accomplished. The only one that I would say that maybe felt a little odd, if you just kind of put it in the mix of everything, was the Drew Jay match. Yeah. But any other time, that would have been perfectly fine.
In all of Michael Cole's story monologues that he did before each match, they all felt really good. And even he struggled a little bit with the Drew Jay match, because how do you include 3 years of story
exactly
into a 30-second bit? And it's so nuanced, and it really is true long-term. I just hate these guys. And you can't quite manifest that the same way you could with Punk Rollins or, you know, the tribal combat match. So yeah. I completely agree. In terms of opening up, or in context of opening up with that match, I didn't have the foresight to really think about it ahead of time. I didn't. I was just going to be along for the ride. Sure. In hindsight, there was no other way to do it. It's the easiest story to explain. It has movie-like qualities, and everybody involved is just top of their game. And so nothing else makes sense if that was what was in play for the show.
Plus, if you get people that only sampled part of the first hour and that's what they got, that's what you needed them to get. Absolutely. Yeah. You needed them to get that out of everything that happened that night. That was the most important thing.
If you look, there is a stone cold, no pun intended, reason that the whole tribal combat segment lasted the entire first hour. Yeah. It's because they knew that's when they were going to have the larger majority of people, and it was going to drop off to casual fans.
Well, and speaking of large majority of people watching, now includes 80% of the world. Let that sink in, because the majority of people now, the majority of people, though, watching didn't watch it until the latter part of the first 12 hours after it ended. Think about that. It was just really the United States.
Dude, that's crazy. The perspective that you just put on that is just, it's insane.
The majority of the world did not watch that until 12 hours after it was over. I mean, because if you think about it, that at 8 p.m. when it started on the East Coast, it's only, if I have my math correct, noon in Hawaii. And so and if you're going east, and people are already in bed in England, it's 6 hours difference from the East Coast of the United States to England. So those guys are in bed, getting ready to get up. They may watch it that morning, or may wait till that night and check it out then. So I'm anxious to see numbers. If those are not, I haven't seen them yet. They may be out by now. I haven't seen anything on it.
And talk about having to relearn what numbers mean for a wrestling show too. Like
100%.
Like poor. There's a particular famous wrestling journalist that I'm not going to name, but it's like, what do you do now, bud?
If somebody asks you what the numbers were for the show, I'm sorry, I can't give you those yet. We haven't completed one rotation of the Earth. I mean, think about that. I can't tell you until the world finishes spinning one time. Then we can talk about it. That's crazy. The only way. Starting with Tribal Cut, we hit that. If you were ever looking for a master class on how to cut a promo, go watch John Cena last night. Watch John Cena Monday night. Just incredible. There was nothing about that promo that I would go, I don't know about that. Every single thing was absolutely fantastic.
You know what made me mad about this? What made me mad is that he got me.
Yeah.
He was going into, he's like, a lot of people want me to win the championship, guys. I don't want to get your hopes up.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, this is reasonable because this is reality. Like, what are you going to do? Be a champ for 2 months and then lay the belt down and go home? Like, why bother? Yeah. Like,
That he got your hopes up.
And then he goes, well, unless somebody entered the Royal Rumble. And I'm like, you son of a biscuit eating bulldog. You got me, sir.
Well, I think what's great about it too, I mean, there's so many things great about it. One big takeaway that I thought was awesome from him was that he He made the pre-planned not seem predictable, but it gives you the impression of all of that, the lottery tickets, as he calls them, real.
Yeah.
Listen, just me on my own, I'm probably not going to win a championship in this year. However, WWE provides a couple of lottery tickets throughout the year. If I can grab one of those, there's a chance I get a title.
And it's interesting because I don't know that I've tangibly heard somebody say it that way before.
Yeah.
And that was what was the most
thought-provoking.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, these aren't just gimmicky pay-per-views. These are lottery tickets. These are gambles. This is a night in Vegas. This is Vegas. And but yeah,
reference, yes.
I like it. But yeah, crazy stuff, man.
We could touch on a lot of things. I've just got a couple more here. We can hit a couple of yours, and we're not going to keep this stringing along forever. But match graphics. I noticed that more towards the end when they're talking about next week, next level. Love the graphic side of it. You and I both love the production of things and new toys for the production guys to play with, new graphics to play with. Always fun to do. I'm sure for them. I know it is when I'm doing some. But to see, it's like, oh, this feels fresh. I like this. What do you think?
Absolutely. I have a slightly anxious personality, and so I tick towards, even though I'm not diagnosed with something like OCD, I lean that direction. And so when I do things, I think uniform, symmetrical, all of those things. The thing that was so captivating about the way everything looked is that it matched, but it was not equal or symmetrical. The match graphics were not the same poses with the same background. It was different layers and versions of the same match graphics. And those variable differences, as someone who pays attention and nerds out on that stuff, it was really cool to see. But then from a fan perspective, for people that can't dissect it from a technical standpoint, it gives this feeling of this epic and this awe-inspiring thing. So just graphics top notch.
While they were not symmetrical, they weighed the same. There was weight on both sides of that. That's getting really weird. And
you know, I get it.
This turns into a tech talk right here all of a sudden. But yeah, I think that the weight of, because that's what I thought. I didn't think about the non-symmetrics because I felt that they weighed the same one.
Yes, I love that. Yeah.
Last one I'm going to kind of bring up here. Did you think the boos were deserved for Hulk Hogan? Expected. Rather than deserved, expected. How about that?
I think they should have been expected. First of all, Ryan Olsen, if you're watching this, I still love you. I'm sorry, but it was expected. Why was it expected for you? Because I may have a different reason. Let's see. I think that there have been some unfortunate moments in the life of Terry Bollea that have severely affected Hulk Hogan, and that those two entities cannot be separated. And unfortunately, there's some things that some people feel need to be booed in regards to Terry Bollea. And unfortunately, Hulk Hogan has to be along for that ride as well.
See, now what it probably is, more than likely, is a mix of your feelings, your thought on that, and mine, probably both together. We're in the deepest part of if not the most liberal city in the entire United States, with a guy who has been campaigning for the 47th president of the United States for the last year or whatever.
Did you see the MAGA Powers shirt? Hulk Hogan had a MAGA Powers shirt.
Not Mega Powers, but MAGA Powers.
It's not Mega Powers. MAGA Powers.
There you go. So I think it's probably a combination of both of our thoughts. And in fact, I was just kind of like, why are they booing him? And my wife goes, why would they not be? They're in LA. Okay, Tuesday. I got it. That's probably it. Okay. Got a few more minutes here. What did I miss? What's one top of mind that we've got to hit for you?
Don't want to brush over the women's championship match. Fantastic match. Very well done. I think we always speak more about women's wrestling has evolved to such a point where when it's good, it doesn't get the wow like a lot of other stuff does. Like we get good matches all the time. They don't wow us because we're used to it. Right. Good women's wrestling has fallen into that. Women's wrestling is still not shaken like the extra criticism when it doesn't hit.
Yeah.
This match was on par with any men's main event match I've ever seen. It didn't feel slow. It didn't feel clunky. There wasn't botches. It operated the way it should have, and both of them did a phenomenal job.
And one thing that I noticed that they did in that too, sorry to interrupt you here, but they hit very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Yeah. And other than the complete no set, was that the one where it was the superplex, the roll through? Somebody no-sold like a big superplex or something to end a match. I can't remember who. That was Punk, my bad.
Yeah, it was Punk.
But anyway, great match overall. I felt that the whole rundown of the show was just flawless. The work in of Kofi and Xavier Woods trying to get the interview but can never get it done.
So good.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Absolutely brilliant. The show front to back is the masterclass of a professional wrestling TV show.
I think it's worth another watch.
Good. It can't be that good all the time because it's obviously stacked.
Yeah.
But that is everything you love and need to know about professional wrestling.
I think it's cool. They hit really high. They're going to take us through a little roller coaster and then hopefully hit another high come the middle of March for March or April. They changed the date, so I can't remember. I think it's April. But yeah, for WrestleMania in Las Vegas. So it'll be a nice little ride before then. Should be a lot of fun. Listen, if you came here to watch this from the Claw Pod, appreciate you guys checking this out. If you're wondering what I just said, it's a brand new podcast that I'm doing with Ross and Marshall Von Erich. Yes, the sons of the legendary Kevin Von Erich. Brand new episode just dropped. I say a brand new. It's the very first episode. Brand new podcast. So I'd love for you to check that out. Big news from those guys on the first episode that I think you'll enjoy if you're just a wrestling fan. You don't have to be a WWE fan, a TNA fan, an AEW fan. Just if you're just a fan of wrestling, you'll love this news. So check that out. We put it in the other channels that we love on this channel. So I'd love for you to check that out. It's called The Claw Pod, as in the Iron Claw, with Ross and Marshall Von Erich. So glad you guys checked this out if you came here from there. If you didn't and you don't know what that is, you'd like to check it out, you can click that in on this channel and come join us over there. Both episodes here and there drop on Thursday. So we appreciate you you being a part of it. If you're watching right now on YouTube, give us a follow, give us a like. Doesn't cost you anything and means the world to us. So we appreciate you doing that. Looking forward to talking with you again, Michael, after episode number 2 of Raw on Netflix next week. So that'll be the real test. That'll be the one like, okay, this is what Raw is going to look like here on out for the foreseeable future anyway. So looking forward to that. Good to have you on today and good to see you. Happy New Year, man.
Thanks, man. Always a pleasure.